The transport ship's silver path drifted through the quiet lanes of outer space, its engines humming like a tired animal breathing in the dark. Passengers slept in their cabins. Lights flickered softly. Everything looked peaceful, but peace never lasted long around humans. Evan Cole stood alone near the observation window, arms crossed, staring at the stars like he was waiting for them to speak. He had the face of a man who had lived through storms, real ones, emotional ones, and the kind only humans truly understood. His eyes looked tired but sharp. He had the air of someone who carried too many responsibilities yet refused to put any of them down. Behind him, footsteps echoed. Soft, nervous, almost fading before they reached him. Evan didn't turn. He simply said, "You've been hiding all day." The woman froze. She wasn't human. Her skin was faint silver with a faint glow, like moonlight trapped under glass. Her eyes were a deep ocean blue, too deep for any normal person to read. Her hair floated slightly, reacting to the ship's artificial gravity field. She wore a traveler's cloak, but she held it tightly, as if trying to shrink inside it. Her name was Lysera, and she was scared. Evan finally turned and looked at her. His expression was soft but steady, the kind of face people trusted even when they didn't want to. "Are they still bothering you?" he asked quietly. She shook her head. "No, not now. They whisper. They look at me as if I'm broken." Evan sighed. People fear what they don't understand. Nothing new. Lysera looked down. "It is not only them. I brought this on myself." Her voice felt heavy, almost trembling. Evan watched her carefully. He could see the fear hiding behind her calm face, like a storm waiting for permission to break. "What happened?" he asked. She took a deep breath, as if gathering the strength to speak. "My people, my kind, we are born with the ability to create life. But something went wrong with me. My body failed. I cannot bear children. In my world, that makes me less." The silence that followed felt cold. Lysera forced herself to continue. "The elders said I should leave, that I bring no future to our race. So I left before they could decide my fate for me." Evan's jaw tightened. He hated the sound of pain in anyone's voice, especially someone who didn't deserve it. "You didn't do anything wrong," he said firmly. Lysera looked at him, confusion filling her eyes. "But you don't understand. In my society, a female without the ability to bring new life is seen as a burden, a useless branch. They said no one would ever join with me. No one would ever want me." Evan didn't blink. He didn't flinch. He just smiled, a slow, warm, almost mischievous smile. "That's funny," he said, "because in my world, I've already got enough kids for both of us." Lysera stared at him. The meaning of his words hit her slowly. A tiny spark of disbelief lit her eyes. She wasn't used to someone answering tragedy with humor. She wasn't used to someone answering shame with acceptance. Evan leaned slightly closer, lowering his voice. "Listen, where I come from, family isn't measured by what you can produce. It's measured by what you can protect, what you can love, what you can stand for." Lysera swallowed anxiously. "But why would a human care? Why would you care?" Evan looked back out the window as the stars streaked past. "Because I've seen too many people thrown away for the wrong reasons. And I'm done watching good people hurt." For the first time since she boarded the ship, Lysera's shoulders eased. Not fully, but enough. Outside the window, a faint warning light blinked across the ship's hull, unnoticed by them both. Something was hiding in the deep dark ahead. Something watching the silver path. Something waiting for the right moment. But for now, all that mattered was the strange, fragile bond forming between a tired human and an outcast alien woman. A bond that the universe was about to test in ways neither could imagine. The silver path floated through the quiet corridor between two asteroid belts. But the calm didn't last. A faint vibration trembled through the floor, so soft that most passengers didn't feel it. But Evan felt everything. Years of raising children had trained his senses better than any military academy. He looked up sharply. Lysera felt it too. Her glowing eyes widened, and the subtle shimmer along her skin brightened. "Something touched the ship," she whispered. Evan frowned. "Touching a cruiser in open space? That's never good." Before she could reply, the corridor lights flickered. Once, twice, then settled into a steady glow that felt too bright, like the ship was trying to hide its own fear. Evan moved faster than most humans his age. "Come on," he said. "Let's get to the central deck." Lysera hesitated. "Will they even allow me there? Some passengers still act uncomfortable around me. Evan didn't slow down. Let them be uncomfortable. Right now, I'm more worried about whatever is crawling on the outside of this ship. The central deck was busy with nervous activity. Crew members whispered urgently into their earpieces. The captain stood stiffly near the main display, watching a holographic skin rotate slowly in the air. Evan approached. "Captain Rowe, what happened?" The captain didn't take his eyes off the scan. Unidentified object attached to the lower hull. No response to our signals. No known signature. It appeared minutes ago, almost like it grew out of the metal. Lysra's breath caught. She stepped closer to the projection. "It's organic." The room fell silent. Organic was a dangerous word in space. Evan crossed his arms. "How do you know?" Lysra pointed to faint energy lines pulsing along the object's shape. "My people used living ships long ago. This looks similar, but older. Hungrier." Captain Rowe eyed her cautiously, but desperation made him listen. "Can it be communicated with?" Lysra shook her head. "No, not this type. It is a feeder. It attaches to vessels and drains energy until the ship dies." Evan muttered, "Great. A space leech the size of a truck." But Lysra's expression grew more serious. "Captain, this is not its full form. If it's attached here, then its colony is nearby." "Colony?" the captain repeated. Lysra nodded. "They travel in clusters. If one finds prey, the others follow." Evan exhaled slowly. "So we're not dealing with one problem. We're dealing with a family reunion." He tried to keep his tone light, but the tension in his face betrayed him. Alarms suddenly burst through the deck, sharp, rising, urgent. "Warning! External pressure spike detected." The holographic display zoomed out automatically. 3 more shapes appeared near the tail of the ship, 2 more on the starboard side. One massive creature drifting behind them like an ancient shadow. The captain swore under his breath. "We're surrounded." Lysra's voice went thin. "They've marked us." Evan stepped toward the captain. "What's the plan?" Rowe rubbed his forehead. "We have no weapons strong enough. If we try to outrun them, we'll burn out the engines and make ourselves easier to feed on." Lysra looked down as if fighting a memory. "My people lost entire fleets to these creatures. They leave only empty shells behind." Evan's eyes narrowed. "Then we'll have to be smarter than your people." She blinked, surprised. "Smarter?" Evan shrugged. "You aliens always forget something important." "What is that?" He smiled weakly. "Humans are annoying. We never die the way the universe expects." Lysra stared at him, unsure if he was joking or declaring war on destiny. Evan turned to the captain. "Show me the engineering deck. I've dealt with parasites before. Not the space kind, but kids do worse things to walls." Rowe looked confused but nodded. Lysra stepped closer. "Let me come. I know how these creatures think. I can sense their energy." Evan answered without hesitation. "Good. Stay close." As they marched down the corridor, the ship trembled again. This time stronger, deeper, like something outside was testing the hull, pressing, tasting its strength. The lights flickered again. This time, they didn't stop flickering. Something was coming, and it wasn't patient. The engineering deck was hotter than the rest of the ship. Bright lines of energy pulsed along the walls, feeding the Silver Path's drives. Even so, the air felt strangely cold. Not natural cold, unnerving cold. Like the ship itself sensed a predator outside. Evan entered first. Lysra followed closely, her silver skin dimming as if reacting to the danger. The chief engineer, a short, sharp-eyed woman named Kara, spun toward them. "You two picked a fine time to visit. The thing outside is draining our reactor like it's sipping juice through a straw." Evan pointed to a large display where energy levels dipped lower and lower. "How fast?" "At this rate," Kara said, wiping sweat from her forehead. "We have 15 minutes before full shutdown." Lysra stepped forward, examining the readings with quiet focus. "It's using its tendrils to latch onto the energy core line. If the creature burrows deeper, it will reach the heart of the ship." Kara's eyebrows rose. "And then?" Lysra hesitated. "Then, it will eat the Silver Path from the inside." Evan rubbed his temples. "Wonderful. We're basically a meal with engines." Suddenly, the ship jolted, a violent, bone-shaking snap that threw tools and equipment to the floor. Evan caught Lysra before she fell. Kara grabbed a railing. "What was that?" Evan demanded. Kara checked a monitor. "Another creature. It hit our port side." Lysra placed her hand on the wall, closing her eyes. "No, not a hit. A test. They're testing our strength. They want to know where the hull is weakest. Why? Kara asked. So they can crack us open, Lysera whispered. Evan stepped back, pacing, thinking fast. Humans didn't survive by being stronger or faster. They survived by making impossible situations bend in their direction. He turned to Kara. Show me the internal manual override for the hull shields. Kara frowned. You can't increase shields. They're already at maximum. I don't want to increase them, Evan said. I want to move them. Lysera blinked. Move them. Evan nodded. Yes. Shift the shield power to the exact spots the creatures are touching. If they feel sudden resistance, maybe they'll. The ship jolted again. Harder. Sparks shot from a nearby engine panel. Kara jumped back, cursing. That was deliberate, Evan growled. They found a weak spot. Lysera stared at him. Evan, your plan. They won't leave. They'll become angry. Evan smirked. Good. Angry things make mistakes. Kara cracked a shaky smile. I can reroute shields, but only for a few seconds at a time. That's enough, Evan said. Lysera stepped forward slowly, hands trembling slightly. There is something else. Evan turned to her. What? I can sense them, she said softly. The creatures. Their hunger. Their instinct. They are drawn to the strongest source of life on this ship. Kara swallowed. The reactor? Lysera shook her head. Her eyes lifted toward Evan. No. Him. Silence filled the room. Evan stared at her. Me? Why me? Lysera took a step closer. Your energy is strange to them. Human life force burns hotter, brighter, more unstable. They are attracted to you the same way flames attract insects. Kara looked between them. Are you saying Evan is basically bait? Lysera nodded. Yes. They feel him. Evan exhaled slowly. Great. Space vampires can smell me. That's just perfect. But the wheels in his mind were already turning. If they wanted him, he could use that. He walked to the central console. Kara, prepare an energy flare through the exterior lights. Amplify it toward the port side. Kara squinted. You're trying to lure them? Evan nodded. They want me. So I'll give them what they want, just not where I am. Lysera's voice shook. Evan, this is dangerous. If you call them closer, the colony will collapse the hull. He looked at her with a calm, steady expression, the look of a human who had survived too many impossible days. We're already on the menu, he said. I'm just rearranging the table. Lysera's breath caught. Something flickered in her eyes. Respect? Fear? Maybe both. Kara began typing commands. Energy flare ready in 10 seconds. But before the countdown reached 5, the lights flickered again, then dimmed, then died. Total darkness swallowed the engineering deck. A low, rumbling sound vibrated through the metal beneath their feet. The creatures were no longer testing. They were attacking, and the ship was running out of time. Darkness swallowed the entire engineering deck, thick and absolute. No glow, no flicker, no emergency lights. Just black space pressing in from every direction. Even the hum of the ship's systems faded, as though the creature outside was drinking not only energy, but sound. Kara froze. This isn't possible. The emergency core should stay active even during total drain. Evan steadied himself against the wall. Unless something cut the emergency lines. Lysera whispered, voice trembling. No, something is blocking them. It's spreading across the hull. A deep, dragging sound rolled through the ship. Not metal scraping, but something softer, wetter, like giant tendrils crawling along the surface. Kara's breath hitched. They're spreading over the windows. Lysera closed her eyes. Her silver eyelids shimmered. No, over everything. They're looking for a way inside. Evan clenched his fists. Let them. If they want in so badly, they'll make a mistake. But even he could feel it. The weight of something ancient and hungry pushing against the walls. The air felt thicker. Every breath felt heavier. In the darkness, Lysera reached out and grabbed his arm. Evan, they can feel your heartbeat. Good, he said. Let them follow the wrong signal. A small spark flickered near Kara's console. She was rewiring a manual battery pack by hand. Teeth clenched. Give me 1 minute, she muttered. I'll get us at least a sliver of power. Enough to fire your flare. Evan nodded. Just don't blow yourself up. Kara didn't look up. No promises. Then a sound. A new one. A tap. Tiny. Sharp. Repeating. Tap, tap, tap. It came from the ceiling. Lysera stiffened. No. No, no. Evan whispered, what now? Lysra pointed upward with a shaking hand. One of them is inside the upper hull layer. Kara's eyes widened. They can penetrate composite steel? Lysra nodded. They crumble it like dead coral. We have minutes before it breaks through. A crack appeared above them, thin, jagged, glowing faintly blue. Not ship light. Creature light. Evan stepped in front of Lysra without thinking. Stay behind me. She grabbed his arm. Evan, they are after your energy. You standing closer will only. That's why I'm doing it, he said. The crack widened. A long, needle-like tendril began sliding through, dripping strange, shimmering liquid. It swayed in the air, tasting, sensing, hunting. Kara hissed. I really need that minute, people. Evan whispered. You've got 30 seconds. Lysra whispered something, voice shaking. Do not let it touch you. It doesn't just drain you, it steals your life pattern. Meaning, it could turn your mind into echoes. Living death. Evan muttered. Yeah, let's avoid that. The tendril dropped lower. 2 more cracks formed. 3. Kara suddenly shouted. Power spike. A blast of faint emergency light returned, weak, flickering, but enough to see. And enough to expose the creature. The tendril hanging from the ceiling curled back, shrinking from the sudden brightness like a worm hiding from fire. Evan grinned. Bingo. Kara yelled from the console. I can fire your energy flare, but it will drain all remaining backup power. Lysra stepped forward urgently. If the flare is strong enough, it will draw the entire colony to that side of the hull. All of them. Evan nodded slowly. That's what I want. Kara stared at him like he was insane. You want all of them? Evan nodded. Better them swarming one side than spreading everywhere. The tendril hissed, a soft, wet, angry sound, and stabbed downward faster than a snake. Lysra grabbed Evan and pulled him back just in time. The tendril hit the floor, burning a smoking hole through the metal. Evan coughed. Okay, I definitely don't want that thing touching me. Kara shouted. Flare charged. Lysra yelled. Evan, once it fires, the creatures will lunge toward the signal with full force. If the hull gives way. Evan placed a steady hand on her shoulder. Trust me. Lysra stared at him, scared, confused, but unable to look away. Just 5 words escaped her lips. Humans are so reckless. Evan winked. That's why we survive. Kara slammed her hand on the control panel. A blinding burst of white-blue energy exploded from the outer hull on the port side. An artificial heartbeat amplified across space. Outside the ship, something roared. Not an animal. Not a machine. A colony. A swarm. A hunger big enough to swallow a world. They rushed toward the flare. And the silver path shuddered under the weight of an entire species diving toward a single point. The ship creaked dangerously. The hull screamed. And something began to crack. The flare burst across the void like a newborn star, bright and violent. The creatures rushed toward it in a frenzy, slamming, clawing, clinging to the port side of the silver path. The ship trembled under their weight. Metal groaned like it was begging for mercy. Kara braced herself against the console. This is bad. They're hitting the same spot too hard. Lysra pressed her palm to the nearest wall. Her face tightened as if she felt the ship's pain like her own. They're focusing on one point. They want to open a breach. Evan steadied himself. Then we don't let them. Kara snapped toward him. Human, we're running on fumes. We can't fight off a whole colony. Evan didn't blink. We don't need to fight them. We just need to survive long enough for me to do something stupid. Lysra grabbed his arm. Evan, no. Whatever you are thinking, stop. He pulled his arm back gently but firmly. No. I'm thinking exactly what they expect from me. Kara stared. Which is? Evan cracked a tired smile. Something reckless. A thunderous crack shot through the air, the kind that didn't sound like metal bending, but metal breaking. Everyone froze. Then came the alarm. Hull breach imminent. Port side. Lysra gasped. It's starting. They found the weak seam. Kara cursed loudly. We can't fix that from here. Evan leaned over the panel. Then where? Kara pointed straight ahead with a shaking hand. Outer maintenance bay? Manual shield regulator. It's the only place you can reinforce the hull from the inside. Evan nodded. Good. Let's go. Lysra grabbed him again, harder this time. Evan, that room is right beside the breach point. If they break through while you're there. I know, he said calmly. I'll get new windows in my face. She didn't laugh. She didn't smile. She looked terrified. Her voice softened. Why do humans always run into danger? Evan sighed. Because if we don't, someone else will die. Lysra didn't move. He placed a hand on her shoulder, this time gently, almost tenderly. I need you with Kara. If something happens to us, you're the only one who understands these creatures. Her voice cracked. And what if something happens to you? Evan gave her a small grin. Then tell my kids I said I warned them life was weird. Kara pulled open the emergency hatch. Move. We're losing the hull. Evan sprinted down the narrow corridor, metal walls rattling with every monstrous impact from the outside. Dust fell from the ceiling. Lights flickered like dying candles. Behind him, Lysra whispered words he couldn't hear, but he felt them. The maintenance bay door sealed behind him with a heavy clang. Evan stood alone in a small chamber filled with pipes, valves, and ancient panels the ship rarely used. He crouched beside the manual regulator, a thick metal wheel embedded in the wall, half corroded, almost fused shut. Outside the bulkhead, he heard it. A skittering sound. A scraping sound. A hungry sound. The creatures were right on the other side. Evan gripped the wheel with both hands and pulled. It didn't move. He growled and pulled harder. The muscles in his arms burned. Sweat slid down his face. The wheel groaned but didn't turn. Outside, something slammed into the hull. Hard. The metal rang like a bell. Evan pulled again, veins straining, teeth clenched. Still nothing. He exhaled sharply. All right. Plan B. He wrapped his belt around the wheel's spokes, looped it twice, braced himself against a support beam, and used his whole body to pull the belt like a lever. For a moment, nothing. Then, KRRRK. The wheel shifted. Just a centimeter. But enough. Evan poured every ounce of strength into it. Finally, the regulator wheel snapped loose and spun violently, sending a surge of shield energy to the port side. The ship glowed from the outside, a sudden burst of new light. Kara's voice crackled through the intercom. Evan, it's working. The hull is stabilizing. Lysra's voice followed, breathless. Evan, come back. The creatures are moving. But she didn't get to finish. Because something shoved the bulkhead from the outside. A dent formed. Then another. Then a claw pierced through, long, thin, sharp, dripping blue fluid. Evan stepped back slowly. The creature was breaking through. Not minutes anymore. Seconds. He whispered to himself. Yeah, this was stupid. He looked at the emergency tools scattered around the room. He looked at the growing hole in the wall. And he made a decision that was either heroic or insane. He grabbed the heaviest tool he could find, a thick, metal spanner nearly half his size. He tightened his grip. Outside, the cracking sound grew louder. Inside, Evan inhaled once. If a creature was coming through, he was going to meet it first. The bulkhead groaned like a dying animal. Evan watched the metal bend inward, slowly, like fingers pressing into soft clay. Blue fluid dripped from the hole, thick, glowing, alive. The creature was almost inside. Evan tightened his grip on the massive metal spanner. His heartbeat pounded in his ears. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't trained for this. He was a father who fixed broken furniture on weekends. But heroes didn't come from training. Heroes came from moments. The bulkhead split open with a violent crack. A tendril pushed through, long, jagged, pulsing with pale blue light. It thrashed wildly, slapping against the walls, searching for life. Searching for him. Evan stepped sideways, staying just out of reach. Easy, ugly. I'm not dinner yet. The tendril struck again, smashing a toolbox into the air. Metal clattered across the floor. Sparks burst from a damaged cable. Smoke filled the room. Another crack tore open beside the first. A second tendril forced its way in. Then a third. They swayed through the air like alien snakes, sensing, tasting, hunting. Evan backed up, raising the spanner like a shield. I really need to stop getting myself into these situations. A voice crackled through the tiny comm panel on the wall. Evan, answer me. Evan, Lysra. Her voice was sharp with fear, a fear not for herself, but for him. Evan hit the comm switch with his elbow. Bit busy right now. Evan, listen, she shouted. The creatures are reacting to the flare. Their energy pattern is unstable. They are angry and confused. If they break through fully, the entire colony might force a collapse. He ducked as a tendril sliced through the air above his head, cutting a deep line into the ceiling. Yeah, I noticed the angry part. Kara's voice came next, frantic. Evan, get out of there. Retreat now. I can't, he shouted back. If I leave, the regulator will shut, and the shields will drop. The hull won't last 10 seconds. Lysra's voice cracked. Evan, please. A huge bang interrupted her. The entire wall buckled inward. The creature's full limbs started pushing through, wide and sharp, like a serrated blade made of flesh and bone. Evan didn't hesitate. He swung the metal spanner as hard as he could. Clang. The impact rang through the room, metal against alien tissue. The creature screeched, a shrill, horrifying sound, and jerked backward, wounded but not retreating. Blue fluid splattered across the floor. Evan stared at the liquid. It sizzled. Acid, he muttered. Fantastic. The tendril lunged again. Evan rolled to the side, barely avoiding its strike. A panel behind him melted into a bubbling mess. His hands shook. His legs trembled. But he stood tall. He struck again, and again, and again. Each hit slowed the creature, weakened it, confused it. But it wasn't enough. A massive crack erupted across the entire bulkhead. The creature no longer pushed one limb. It pressed its whole body against the wall. The room shook. Bolts popped out. Metal bent like wet paper. The monster was forcing its way inside. Evan realized something terrifying. He couldn't win this fight. Not physically. Not alone. He backed up to the regulator wheel, the one thing keeping the shield stable. The shields were the only thing keeping the hull from being eaten alive. Lysra's voice came through again, softer now. Breaking. Evan, answer me, are you there? Evan exhaled slowly, forcing a smile he didn't feel. Yeah, still here. Please come back. He stared at the creature. At the breaking wall. At the regulator. He made a choice. A human choice. A reckless choice. Lysra, he said. I'm going to do something insane. She gasped. No. I'm going to draw it away from the regulator. I need you and Kara to be ready. Kara's voice shouted. Ready for what? Evan tightened his grip on the spanner. His face hardened. For me to open the door. Silence. Shock. Then, Lysra's voice broke. Evan, you can't, you'll die. Evan looked at the writhing limbs in front of him. Maybe. But if I don't, everyone will. He stepped forward, eyes locked on the creature pushing through the wall, a monster big enough to swallow him whole. He whispered to himself. If they want me so badly, they can chase me. He grabbed the manual release on the maintenance bay door. He pulled it. The heavy door unsealed with a loud hiss. Cold air rushed past him, and Evan stepped into madness. Cold air blasted through the open door as Evan stepped into the narrow auxiliary corridor. The alarms were silent. The lights were dead. Only the pulsing glow from the creature behind him painted the walls in ghostly blue. He moved fast, not running, leading. The creature slammed through the broken bulkhead, tearing metal apart like fragile plastic. Its full form spilled into the maintenance bay, a mass of twisting limbs, armor plates, glowing organs, and a mouth that wasn't a mouth but a living void. It screamed, a sound that shook the corridor, vibrating the air like thunder underwater. Evan tightened his grip on the spanner and shouted back. Yeah, come on. You want me? Here I am. The creature lurched forward. Evan ran. The corridor shook as the monster followed, smashing against walls, tearing through pipes, ripping down panels. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Smoke filled the air. He reached the emergency lift, a small maintenance pod barely big enough for one person. He slammed the keypad. Denied. No, no. Come on, he growled, punching the panel again. The creature charged. The floor cracked under its weight. Evan yelled, Kara now. Somewhere far behind him, on the engineering deck, Kara slammed her palm onto the remote override. The lift door snapped open. Evan threw himself inside just as the creature's tendril whipped toward him. Whoosh, clang. The lift shot upward at full emergency speed. The tendril missed him by centimeters, slicing across the floor as the doors sealed. Evan leaned against the wall, chest heaving, sweat burning his eyes. Kara's voice came through the small comm. Evan, are you alive? Define alive, he gasped. Lysra's voice broke through next, shaking, breathing fast. Evan, please answer. He smiled despite the pain. I'm here. A sharp breath escaped her, half relief, half disbelief. But the victory didn't last. The lift shook violently. A new sound echoed around it. Scraping, clawing. The creature was climbing after him, tearing through the metal tube. Evan muttered, You've got to be kidding me. Lysra's voice tightened. Evan, it can sense your energy even through the lift shaft. Yeah, I noticed. Kara spoke urgently. Listen, at the top of the shaft, there's an emergency eject port used for waste canisters. If you trigger it at the right moment, it will blast whatever is behind you out into open space. Evan's eyes widened. A stupid idea. A reckless idea. A human idea. He grinned. Perfect. The lift shot upward. The creature's claws scraped closer and closer. Sparks flew through the narrow seams of the walls. Evan watched the indicator panel. 10 meters. 8. 6. Come on, come on. 5. The creature's limb pierced the lift roof. A long, glowing blade of flesh stabbed downward. 4. Evan jumped aside. The blade missed his head by an inch. 3. He reached the emergency override lever. 2. The creature roared. The lift groaned under its weight. 1. Evan pulled the lever. Whoosh! The top of the lift shaft blasted open like a cannon. A violent stream of expelled air and debris erupted outward. The creature, climbing fast, caught the full force of the blast. Its limbs flailed wildly. Its body twisted. Its claws scraped the metal. Then it was ripped from the shaft and hurled into open space. Silence fell. The lift reached the top and stopped. Evan dropped to his knees, gasping, laughing breathlessly. Still alive, somehow still alive. Minutes later, the emergency door slid open. Lysra was the first inside. She ran toward him, not walking, running, something unfamiliar to her species. Her eyes glowed with fear and anger and relief all at once. Evan, you reckless human. He gave her a weak grin. Told you. We don't die easy. She knelt beside him, gently touching his shoulder. You should be dead. He shrugged. Been hearing that all my life. Kara entered next, wide-eyed. The hull creatures are retreating. Whatever you did scared the colony away. Evan nodded. Good. They should be scared. Lysra stared at him. Really stared. As if trying to understand how a single fragile human could stand against an ancient predator. She whispered. Your people. You burn so brightly. No wonder they wanted your energy. He met her eyes. Yeah, but I choose where I shine. Her eyes softened. For the first time since the journey began, Evan saw something new in her expression. Hope. Kara interrupted, breathless. Captain wants you two on the bridge. We need a new route. And someone has to explain how a maintenance worker saved the whole ship. Evan smirked. Tell him it's classified. Dad instincts. Lysra offered him her hand. He took it. She helped him stand. As they walked toward the bridge, Lysra glanced up at him and whispered, Evan, when you said you had enough children for both of us, were you joking? He smiled softly, tired, bruised, but still shining. Maybe, maybe not. Let's survive the next trip and find out. She didn't look away. She didn't flinch. Her silver eyes glowed warmly. Then I will stay close, she said quietly. For safety. Evan raised an eyebrow. Yours or mine? She didn't answer. She didn't need to. Behind them, the silver path drifted into quiet space again, battered, cracked, but alive. And somewhere in the dark behind the ship, golden eyes blinked. A low rumble echoed. The colony had been scared away. Not defeated. Not destroyed. Just waiting. Watching. And remembering the human who dared to fight them.